Hey Emily, I was trying to figure out how to write notes to you to explain my thought process. However, I figured maybe just a short screencast would work just as well. So for number 51, we're given that the function is 1-to-1 for, unless a domain restriction is explicitly stated, it means for its implicit domain. So basically, f of x equals to 7x plus 1 over 5 minus x is 1-to-1 for the domain negative infinity to 5 union 5 to infinity. So for all real numbers except for 5. If you were to graph this, I'm going to graph with Desmos. Oops, let me get rid of those. Let's see. The graph should look like it passes the horizontal line test. And it does. Okay, so you could either determine what the domain is, what the range is from reading the graph, which it's a little bit challenging to see. And we'll actually be studying this in chapter 2, where I can see that the range is from negative infinity to negative 7 union negative 7 to infinity. However, since we know that the domain and the range of the function and its inverse will flip-flop, what we could also do is just find the inverse of this function. We were given it was 1-to-1, so we know it has an inverse. And then the domain of that function will actually be the range of f of x. So for finding the inverse, I'm going to switch x and y. Okay. And I'm going to multiply by 5 minus y on both sides of this equation. I want to get that y out of the denominator. Okay, and remember our goal is to solve for y. So what I think I'm going to do next is distribute that x in, because I'm not really sure. I don't really see any other strategies I could use. Okay, so now I'm going to get the terms with y on one side and all the other terms on the other, so then I can factor out a y. So I'll have 5x minus 1 equals to 7y plus xy, or that's the same as y times x, right? So now on the right-hand side here, I can factor out a y. And I end up with y equals to 5x minus 1 over 7 plus x. So that is our equation for f inverse. And you can see x can't be equal to negative 7. So the domain of f inverse, which is just another function, we're calling it f inverse to represent the relationship to that original function. So negative infinity to negative 7 union negative 7 to infinity. So we're just excluding negative 7. And notice that matched what the range is that I already wrote. And since the domain of f of x was all real numbers except 5, I know that's going to be the range of f inverse. So again, because we were given that this function is 1-to-1 for its implicit domain, I knew I could just go through the process of finding the equation of the inverse, and the domain of the inverse would be the range of f of x. And then the domain of f of x is the range of f inverse.